dot by dot, point by point. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we meet. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we meet. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we meet. To catch a glimpse of thee, I am wandering like a breeze, from house to house, door to door, place to place, street to street. I would explain all my grief, dot by dot, point by point. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we meet. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we meet. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we meet. In separation from thee, the blood of my heart gushes out of my eyes. In torrent after torrent, river after river, wave after wave, stream after stream. This afflicted heart of mine has woven your love to the stuff of life, stitch after stitch, strand after strand, thread after thread, pleat after pleat. I would explain all my grief, dot by dot, point by point. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we meet. If heart to heart we talk, and face to face we
I've been asked on behalf of the local spiritual assembly of the Baha'is of Loudoun County to share a little bit with you about the occasion that we are celebrating tonight, a little bit about the history of the Baha'i faith, and the personage of the Bab, who we are celebrating and honoring this evening as well. So with your permission, we're just going to take about 10 minutes to maybe enlighten the knowledge of the friends who are here who may not know much about what the Baha'is do around the world and what we are practicing in our teachings and our principles. So without further ado,
on behalf of the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Loudoun County, we are delighted to have you with us to honor the herald of a new dawn and to celebrate this historic moment commemorating the 200th anniversary of the birth of the Bab. Since the inception of the Baha'i faith, a growing number of people have found in the teachings of Baha'u'llah a compelling vision of a better world. Many have drawn insights from these teachings: the oneness of humanity, the equality of women and men, the elimination of prejudice, the harmony of science and religion, and have applied these Baha'i principles to their lives and work. Consider with us for a moment that whenever a divine educator appears in the world, such as Noah, Abraham, Krishna, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Christ, Muhammad, the Bab and Baha'u'llah, and many others, It propels forward the advancement of civilization. It becomes a spiritual stimulus to building human cooperation from the tribe to the nation. The teachings of the founders of these world's religions have inspired breathtaking achievements in literature, science, art, education, music, and architecture. The moral principles have been translated into universal codes of law, building and elevating human capacity and relationships. These great teachers have all promised that in time another divine figure would appear, and whose influence would reform the world. No wonder then we now honor the coming of the Bab, whose birth 2 centuries ago precipitated the release of powerful spiritual forces. The moment of his appearance, like the appearance of all such figures, unfolded divine teachings that shaped human thought and action for centuries thereafter. It is this youth, the Bab, that we acclaim as the one whose coming, after an interval of 1,000 years, shed the light of divine guidance once again upon the human world. The Bab's writings disclosed profound truths, dismissing superstitions that held strong in his day, urging the people to recognize the significance of the times, severely admonishing the hypocrisy of their leaders, and summoning the world to an exalted standard of conduct. 19th century Persia, the country where the Bab was born, was far removed from its glory days when its civilization was the envy of the world. Ignorance now prevailed. Senseless dogmas went unchallenged. Inequality was fueled by rampant corruption. Each succeeding year offered the masses only disillusionment and hopelessness. Oppression was complete. Then, like a spring storm, the Bab came to purge and purify, to uproot the withered and spent customs of a wayward age. And to those blinded by illusion, the brilliance of the light of the Bab seems more dazzling when set against the darkness of these societal and social conditions in which he appeared. The Bab, like many divine educators before him, had a special object in view. He sought to prepare people for the appearance of Baha'u'llah, the second of the twin luminaries destined to bring light to humankind. This was his most insistent mission. Thus the twin luminaries, the Bab and Baha'u'llah, illuminated an age shrouded by darkness. They inaugurated a new stage, the stage of the unification of the entire human family. Baha'u'llah set an uncompromising standard that if religion becomes a source of separation, estrangement, or disagreement, much less violence and terror, it is best to do without it. The test of true religion is its fruits. Religion should demonstrably uplift humanity, create unity, forge good character, promote the search for truth, liberate human conscience, advance social justice, and promote the betterment of the world. True religion provides the moral foundations to harmonize relationships among individuals, communities, and institutions across diverse and complex social settings. These achievements can be recognized as the common spiritual heritage of the human race. Hence, the great religious systems that have guided humanity over thousands of years can be regarded, in essence, as one unfolding religion that has been renewed from age to age, evolving as humanity moved from one stage of collective development to another. Therefore, religion today cannot be exactly what it was in a previous era. The Baha'i faith began with the mission entrusted by God to 2 divine manifestations, the Bab and Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah, as the latest of the divinely inspired moral educators, has been guiding humanity and proclaimed that the world is now approaching its long-awaited maturity, unity at the global level. He provides a vision of oneness, a moral framework, and teachings that are founded on the harmony of science and religion, directly addressing today's problems. He offers to the peoples of the world a unifying story consistent with our specific understanding of reality. He calls on us to find our common humanity, to love one another for the sake of a higher purpose, and to see ourselves as members of one family. By doing so, all of us become protagonists in shaping our future to be a just and peaceful one. Nevertheless, arguments against these values are burgeoning in society. It's a reminder that ideals require a force of spiritual commitment to cement them. It's one thing to acknowledge something in principle. It is quite another to embrace it with all of one's heart, and yet harder still, to refashion society, to change the culture of thinking in ways that give collective expression to these ideals. Yet communities are emerging around the globe, engaged in service efforts and programs with the aim to pattern life and habits of living founded on the teachings of Baha'u'llah. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, children, youth, junior youth, schools, organizations, like-minded spirits, leaders, and nations are striving to focus the light of those teachings on the chronic problems that afflict society. These are communities that champion the education of both boys and girls under all circumstances, that have a deeper awareness of worship, which includes viewing work to be carried out in the spirit of service. They look to spiritual aspirations rather than self-interest as their truth and motivation, and solely focus their thoughts to resolve and advance both individual and social transformation. Above all, these are communities that define themselves by their commitment to the oneness of humanity, affirming the need for global consciousness while creating bonds of true friendship. For they see all people as spiritual brothers and sisters. In one of his major works, the Bab declares, "O peoples of the earth, verily the resplendent light of God hath appeared in your midst, that ye may be guided aright to the ways of peace, and by the leave of God step out of the darkness into the light." It is important to note that the followers of these twin luminaries, the Bab and Baha'u'llah, make constant effort to invite like-minded souls to join them in learning how to put his teachings into effect. Which brings us to the crux of this matter. It is a challenging one and requires of all of us an open heart, candor, and transparency. There are many noble and admirable causes in the world, and they arise from particular perspectives, each with its own merit. Is the cause of Baha'u'llah merely one amongst them? Or is it universal, embodying the highest ideals for humanity? After all, a cause that is to be the wellspring of enduring justice and peace, not for one place or one people, but for all places and all peoples, must be inexhaustible, must transcend all limitations, and encompass every dimension of the life of humanity. Ultimately, it must have the power to transform the human heart. Then let us, like the Bab's guest, as a seeker of truth, observe attentively the cause of Baha'u'llah. If the teachings brought by Baha'u'llah are what will enable humanity to advance to the highest levels of unity, then one must search the soul for the right response. The multitudes who recognized the Bab were summoned to heroism, and their magnificent response is recorded by history. Let everyone who is awake to the condition of the world and to the persistent evils that warp the lives of its inhabitants heed Baha'u'llah's call to selfless and steadfast service, heroism for the present age. What else will rescue the world but the efforts of countless selfless souls who each make the welfare of humanity their principal, their dominating concern? In closing, at the heart of Baha'i endeavors, capacities for service are being cultivated in diverse settings around the world and are giving rise to individual initiatives and increasingly complex collective action for the betterment of the society. Transformation of the individual and transformation of the community unfold simultaneously. As they carry out this work, Baha'is are committed to the long-term process of learning through action and with the conviction that religion has a vital role to play, with a unique power to release the potential of individuals, communities, and institutions. Religion acknowledges that truth is one, which provides people with a powerful means to gain new and wondrous insights into reality and to shape the world around them.
If I may share with you a little bit about the program. So, in case I'll reiterate a bit, the Bab was a youth at the age of 24 when he declared his mission, and in only 6 short years he had amassed over 1 million followers, and at the age of 30 he was executed by a firing squad of 750 soldiers and 10,000 who were watching because they were all youth who had loved. And one of these youth, who happened to be 19 years old by the name of Anis, he begged to be ascending with the Bab. And so in embrace with the Bab and in the firing squad, their lives were taken. And tonight's program is all conducted by youth. It is a celebration, but it is also the accounts of the reality. And just as Christ before him and many other figures before him, divine figures, these figures were not honored and loved for the message that they brought, the real spiritual stimulus as we talked about. So tonight we hope that you enjoy. It's a brief program of about an hour. You will have music, some short brief dances, and it will all be about the story of the life of the Bab unfolding. And we'll have some music by all of them will be youth, in honor of this beloved youth who is a manifestation of God. So we hope that you will enjoy some refreshments, enjoy some meaningful conversation, and thank you for being participating and honoring our youth tonight who will be performing for you. We hope that tonight with your ambassadors and with all of the friends you see, you will engage in meaningful conversation. And I hope that we didn't take too much of your time, but thank you all for being here. Thank you, Congressman Wexton. Thank you, Attorney General McCain, and all of you dear ones who are here as honorable local officials. We're truly grateful. Thank you so much.
We want to especially welcome our interfaith and multicultural friends and partners, our neighbors living in the surrounding Cardinal Glen community, friends of the faith, and any first-time visitors. We're also very happy to have a number of government officials here this evening who will be recognized individually in a few minutes. Before we start this program, just a few brief housekeeping remarks. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off. We're also very happy to have all of our children here with us this evening, and we ask that if for any reason they need to leave the auditorium, to have a parent accompanying them. We do thank you for your consideration. One last thing I'd like to remind everyone of is that this evening's program is being professionally videotaped. The program will start with devotions that will include a Baha'i prayer for America that was revealed by Abdul Baha, son of Baha'u'llah, who visited America in 1912. And a prayer revealed by Baha'u'llah will be recited by junior youth from Loudoun and area Baha'i community.
O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to thee. These hearts are radiant with thy love. These minds and spirits are exhilarated by the message of thy glad tidings. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and rendered its just government victorious. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standard of the oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. O God, this American nation is worthy of thy favors and is deserving of thy mercy. Make it precious and near to thee through thy bounty and bestow.
That this formal program will be followed by a reception with food, refreshments, and an opportunity to socialize and to get more information if interested. In addition, the celebration weekend will continue tomorrow when the Baha'i Center will have an open house from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Everyone is, of course, invited. Before proceeding with the program, allow me to extend a special welcome to the government officials who are here with us this evening. My only request is to please hold off your applause until the end. United States Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton, Virginia State Attorney General Mark Herring, Virginia State Senator Richard Black, Virginia State Senator Jennifer Boysko, Board of Supervisors of Algonquian District Suzanne Volpe, Board of Supervisors of Sterling District Coran Sains, Commissioner of the Revenue for Loudoun County Bob Wirtz, County Treasurer Roger Zern, Deputy Commonwealth Attorney for Loudoun County Nicole Whitman, representing Sheriff Mike Chapman of Loudoun County Sheriff's Department are Eastern Loudoun Station Commander Captain T.J. Delita, Assistant Division Commander, Administration and Technical Services Captain Craig Schleiden, Commander Port Security Captain Ken Bradley. We're very happy that you were able to join us this evening. We've also asked two of these guests to offer brief remarks a little later in the program, and they have graciously accepted. In one of his writings, Bob wrote, "I am the primal point from which have been generated all created things. I am the countenance of God, whose splendor can never be obscured. The light of God, whose radiance can never fade." Next, we'll have Hillary Chapman and Donna Denizay taking us on a journey through the life of the Bab. Accompanying them are a few youth from Loudoun community who will be providing artistic vignettes, including dramatic enactments, a dance, and a music presentation.
Sayyid Ali Muhammad, later known as the Bab, was a calm and serious child, much loved by the other children for his kindness. His mother wondered why he was so different. In school, the extraordinary boy was asked to read the opening words of the Holy Quran. To everyone's astonishment, he not only read them, but he also gave a deep and totally original explanation of the famous passage. One day, the teacher brought him back to his uncle, saying the boy's abilities were so extraordinary that he felt unworthy to teach him. The uncle scolded the little nephew and told him to be silent in school and follow the example of the other students. His young cousin Khadijah had a vivid dream one night in which she saw Ali Muhammad standing in a green meadow filled with flowers. He was praying towards Mecca and wearing a coat, but this was not an ordinary coat. It was embroidered in threads of gold with verses from the Holy Quran. His face radiated a powerful light. The next morning, she asked her grandmother about its meaning. Her grandmother explained that Ali Muhammad, even though still a teenager, always prayed with his whole heart and soul, and this was being shown to her in a dream.
Sayyid Ali Muhammad and Khadijah were married. Late one evening, after everyone had gone to bed, Khadijah heard her husband get up and leave their room. She didn't think anything of it, but when he didn't return, she grew concerned. Finally, she got out of bed and walked out into the dark house to see where he was. She did not find him anywhere. Had he gone out? As she crossed the courtyard and looked up, a light shone in the upper room. He used this room for guests, but there had been none that evening. She nervously climbed the steps to the upper room. There, she saw her husband with his hands raised up in supplication, chanting a prayer in a beautiful voice. Tears rolled down his face. A powerful, unknown light emanated from him, and she began to shake with fear at the sight. She couldn't move. His majesty overwhelmed her. At that moment, he turned to her and made a gesture that told her to go back. And this gave her the courage to go back down the stairs and get into bed. But for the rest of the night, she could not sleep. She kept reliving that powerful scene until the call to prayer announced the dawn from a nearby mosque. The next morning, she saw her husband seated in the family room. She became pale because he had that same majesty she had seen the night before. He motioned for Khadijah to sit near him and passed her his teacup. Drinking from it, it calmed her down. And when he asked her what was bothering her, she told him that she had seen a great change in him, that he was no longer the man to whom she had been married for 2 years. He had been transformed, and she didn't understand what was happening. He answered her. It was the will of God that you should have seen me in the way you did last night, so that no shadow of doubt should ever cross your mind, and you should come to know with absolute certitude that I am the manifestation of God, whose advent had been expected for 1,000 years. Hearing this, she fell prostrate before him, believing now what she had heard.
On May 22nd, 1844, at the gate of Shiraz, Sayyid Ali Muhammad met a young cleric, Mullah Hussein, who was on a quest to find the new prophetic figure whom he believed would appear to renew Islam. Sayyid Ali Muhammad invited him to his home. A feeling of joy came over Mullah Hussein as he followed his host into the upper room. The young man poured water over Mullah Hussein's hands. Mullah Hussein was touched by his host's humility. Sayyid Ali Muhammad asked Mullah Hussein about the distinguishing features of the Promised One. Mullah Hussein answered,
"Yes, he's of a pure lineage, of illustrious descent, and of descent from Fatima. As for his age, he's more than 20 and less than 30, but endowed with innate knowledge. As for his physical appearance, he's of a medium height, who abstains from smoking and is free from any bodily deficiencies."
After a silence, Ali Muhammad exclaimed, "Behold, all these signs are manifest in me." Mullah Hussein was greatly surprised and handed his host a copy of the treatise he had written, which was a kind of test. The young Sayyid answered his questions in a language of great power and with wholly original ideas. The power in his voice and words seemed to weave around Mullah Hussein and transform him. Mullah Hussein's astonishment increased with every moment. The veils fell away. He believed. Looking at Mullah Hussein, Ali Muhammad said, "O thou who art the first to believe in me, verily I say, I am the Bab, the gate of God. And thou art the Bab, the gate of that gate. 18 souls must, in the beginning, spontaneously and of their own accord, accept me and recognize the truth of my revelation. Unwarned and uninvited, each of these must seek independently to find me.
And so, over the summer of 1844, 18 individuals came to believe in the Bab through prayer, dreams, and inspiration. One was a brilliant female scholar and poet, Tahirih, from a prominent family of Islamic scholars. She believed that the time of the fulfillment of Islam was at hand. So much so that she wrote a letter to him and gave it to her brother-in-law, who was going out on a spiritual search for this figure. Sometime in the summer of 1844, Tahirih had a dream in which she saw a young Sayyid dressed in black with a green turban and his hands raised up in prayer. The words he spoke stayed with her. Around the same time, her brother-in-law found the Bab, the goal of his spiritual search, and he gave him Tahirih's letter. his declaration. She recognized immediately that these words were the same words as she had heard in her dream. She was now certain that she had found the object of her spiritual search, the promised one of the age. The Bab gave these 18 apostles the title of Letters of the Living. They were the ones who would carry his message out to the people, and he was the primal point from which all came into being. They were the letters that originated from that point.
By the fall of 1844, 18 people came to believe in the Bab. He gave them a commission to go out and spread his message of the arrival of a new day of God. Oh, my beloved friends, you are the bearers of the name of God in this day. You have been chosen as the repositories of his mystery. Ponder the words of Jesus addressed to his disciples as he sent them forth to propagate the cause of God. Ye are even as the fire which in the darkness of the night has been kindled upon the mountain top. Let your light shine before the eyes of men. O my letters, verily I say, immensely exalted is this day above the days of the apostles of old. Nay, immeasurably exalted is the difference. You are the witnesses of the dawn of the promised day of God. You are the first letters that have been generated from the primal point. I am preparing you for the advent of a mighty day. The newly born babe of that day excels the wisest and most venerable men of this time, and the lowliest and most unlearned of that period shall surpass in understanding the most erudite and accomplished divines of this age. Scattered throughout the length and breadth of this land, and with steadfast feet and sanctified hearts, prepare the way for his coming. The Bab was preparing the way for a second divine outpouring, a manifestation of God who would follow soon after him. With this command in their hearts, the letters of the living set out across Persia and the Near East and prepared the people. Many would lose their lives.
By the summer of 1847, the Bab's influence had spread throughout Persia. So he was incarcerated in a stone fortress in a remote part of the country. When the local farmers went out to their fields in the morning, they often stopped to look up at the stone fortress, hoping to receive a blessing from the holy man within. And the Bab's presence deeply affected the warden as well. He had a vision of the Bab walking outside the castle, after which he allowed a growing stream of visitors to come into the prison and meet him. The Bab saw his imprisonment in the path of God as the essence of freedom, and himself as the incarnation of God's will. All that belongs to the chosen one is in heaven. This solitary room where I am, which is not even a door, is today the greatest of the gardens of paradise. For the tree of truth is planted herein. All the atoms of which it is composed cry out. In truth, there is no other God but God. There is no other God beside me, the Lord of the universe. A bitterly cold winter took hold of this remote and mountainous region. In his dark and cold stone room, the Bab began to reveal his holy book, the Bayan, the utterance, while the fire lights of the villagers shone below.
The authorities decided that the time had come to put the Bab on trial. All along the road, the Bab's presence generated excitement as stories of his miraculous deeds were spread among the people. The city was in a state of anticipation. At his trial, prominent clerics and the crown prince questioned the Bab about his claims. He answered,
"Don't believe what
To their questions, the Bab replied,
I am the promised one. I am the one whose name you held for 1,000 years invoked, at whose mention you have risen, whose advent you have longed to witness, and the hour of whose revelation you have prayed God to hasten. Verily I say, it is incumbent upon the peoples of both the East and the West to obey my word and to pledge allegiance to my person. I am the promised
This extraordinary statement astonished the clerics, who then responded with a series of very specific questions on obscure issues not related to the Bab's claim, but meant to trip him up and embarrass him. At that point, the Bab uttered the Quranic verse, "Far be it from the glory of thy Lord, the Lord of all greatness, from what they impute to him, and peace be upon his apostles." He then got up and walked out of the trial, which descended into an argument among the clerics. News of the trial's proceedings spread, and the Bab's reputation grew.
The followers of the Bab grew so numerous that the Prime Minister of Persia decided it was time to strike the movement at its head, and he signed the Bab's death warrant. On July 9th, 1850, in a public square in the northeastern city of Tabriz, the Bab, the former young merchant who had caused a spiritual revolution, was shot by a firing squad, along with a young believer who had begged to ascend with him. The Bab described himself in this majestic yet mystical language. I am the mystic fame which the hand of omnipotence hath reared.
I am the lamp which the finger of God hath lit within its niche, and caused to shine with deathless splendor.
I am the flame of that supernal light that glowed upon Sinai in gladsome spot and lay concealed in the midst of the burning bush. The Bab had prepared the people for a second divine outpouring, which would soon follow him, much like John the Baptist had baptized in preparation for the coming of Jesus. The Bab had called on his followers to seek the one whom God would make manifest. Before his execution, he had sent his pen case, seals, and agate rings in a coffer to Tehran. When the cipher was opened, it contained, among other things, a scroll of fine blue paper on which the Bab had calligraphy in a refined script the word Baha'i, meaning glory, in the shape of a pentacle. The recipient of this beautiful scroll was Mirza Hussein Ali, who would later be called Baha'u'llah, the glory of God, and from whose teachings and writings would spring the Baha'i faith.
Referring to Baha'u'llah, the Bab wrote, "Out of utter nothingness, O great and omnipotent Master, thou hast, through the celestial potency of the might, brought me forth and raised me up to proclaim this revelation. I have made none other but thee my trust. I have clung to no will but thy will. Thou art in truth the all-sufficing, and behind thee standeth the true God, he who overshadoweth all things." Dear friends, join me in thanking Hillary, Donna, and the cast one more time for the inspirational act. We're also very happy that two of our honored guests, in their responsibility as government officials, have graciously accepted our invitation to make brief remarks as part of the Bicentenary celebration. We've only requested that the remarks be considerate of the fundamentals of the Baha'i principles and of being nonpartisan and fostering unity. Please welcome Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton, followed by Virginia State Attorney General Mark Herring, who will come to the podium next.
Good evening. Well, the World Children's Choir is a tough act to follow. I'll do my best. I'm Jennifer Wexton. I want to thank the Baha'i community for inviting me back. to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of the Bab, the herald of the Baha'i faith. I was very grateful for the opportunity to speak with you all 2 years ago as a state senator, and I'm proud to now represent this district as a member of Congress. I've been inspired to see how the Baha'i community comes together with others in unity, in good times and in challenging times. Many times over the past 200 years, and even today, there are some who will try to divide us. So the Baha'i principles of unity, peace, equality, and social justice are especially important now. They remind us of how we should treat one another every day. Because in this beautiful community, commonwealth, and country, E pluribus unum is and should be our guiding principle, because out of many, we are one. We truly are the fruits of one tree and the leaves of one branch. Thank you.
Good evening. I am so glad to be here. As Attorney General, my office is in Richmond, but I travel all over the state to do the work. It's a big state. It's a diverse state. It's a great state. That said, there is no place like home, and it feels great to be back. So thank you for having me and inviting me and letting me be a part of this celebration. I grew up here in Loudoun County back in the 1970s, and back then it was rural, largely agricultural. Dulles Airport was brand new. For something to do on a Friday or Saturday night, my mom would bring my sister and I and parallel park curbside at the terminal. Imagine doing that today. We would have dinner in the observatory lounge, and about every 15 or 20 minutes, we would point out the window and say, "Look, here comes a plane." So a lot has changed since then, in Loudoun and in Northern Virginia, and in our world. And I feel like I've had a front row seat to a lot of those changes that we've experienced here in Loudoun. And, you know, I've learned a lot of lessons from those, like diversity being a good thing, a strength, a real asset. And you all, the Baha'i community, are a part of that diversity and that strength. And our region and our state is better off because you are an integral part of it. And as I think about the work that we've done together, I am really proud that fighting for justice and equality and opportunity for all Virginians has really been a hallmark of the work I've been doing as Attorney General with you. And that hallmark of equality and justice is something that we're all fighting for. As I look around the room tonight and think about the words that were spoken, I am reminded that as people of faith, we are called to live a life of service to others and to put that faith into action. And the dances and the music and the singing of our young people provide so much inspiration and hope that we can join together in a shared vision for our communities and Commonwealth, for our nation and our world, that men and women and boys and girls of all races and creeds can live together in peace and mercy.
We've now come to our last performance of the evening, when Shori Effendi, then the head of the Baha'i faith, announced the completion of the superstructure of the Shrine of the Bab over 60 years ago. He used poetic words to indicate the significance of the occasion. He described the completed shrine in a cablegram as the Queen of Carmel on God's mountain. Nicole Best and Alexander Khrushchevsky have been composing and performing music inspired by the writings and teachings of the Baha'i faith for over 4 years. Whether in their own Baha'i communities of DC and McLean, Virginia, or in towns and cities up and down the East Coast, their infusion of the soulful and sacred has brought joy to Baha'is and their friends alike. They are currently recording a full-length album of their Baha'i-inspired music to be released this spring. And in the coming days, we'll be releasing 2 songs in honor of the bicentenary of the birth of the Bab, including the song you'll hear tonight, which was produced by Alexander Grushevsky. They will now perform Queen of Carmel. Dear friends, on behalf of the Bicentenary event planning groups, which have been organizing this event for months, we want to thank all the volunteers who make an evening and an event like this possible. This includes ushers, servers, parking attendants, audio and visual technicians, all the speakers and performers, and many others who helped, and of course, all of you for joining the Baha'i community this evening in celebrating the bicentenary birth of the herald of the Baha'i faith, the Bab. We very much value your friendship as expressed by accepting our invitation and attending. As the program comes to a close, please stay for the reception in the atrium as well as the second floor, which will be including food, refreshments. And also, as you exit the atrium, you will notice some artwork on display. You might have also noticed them as you walked in and you had an opportunity to take a look. The artist was also there, who will be there once again at the end of the program, Mr. Ron Lipitan, who is a local Baha'i and a mentor with the Junior Youth Empowerment Program. He works to empower an interfaith group of middle schoolers to use their talents for social good and to do service together in the community. He's also a comic artist whose first work, The Earth is One Country, follows a Sikh, a Christian, a Muslim, and a Baha'i who go on an adventure to learn about their common values. His 3 black and white pieces illustrate scenes from the life of the Bab in the style of panel art he uses in his comics. Also, there's an information table set up in the atrium for everyone interested in asking questions and just learning about the Baha'i faith. The individuals staffing the table have a variety of literature for you to have complimentary that will help answer any questions you have about the faith, the personage of the Bab and Baha'u'llah, and the fundamental principles of the faith. Just a reminder again that tomorrow the Baha'i Center will be having an open house from 11 to 4. Everyone is of course welcome. There will be music panel discussion, 2 showings of the new film Light to the World that was created specifically for this event. The schedule for the open house program tomorrow is on the back of your program. For safety reasons, we're going to ask that the 2 end sections exit to the auditorium first. We ask those in the middle section to please have a seat for a few minutes while the others exit. Our honored guests, of course, in the front row, please feel free to leave as you wish. As we understand, you may have time constraint, and we do thank you again for attending. And for those of you in the middle section, while you're waiting, a video will be played. Thank you again for joining us.